Hi, I'm Christy Rost. This fall 2025, I returned as a guest chef on Atlas Ocean Voyages. One of our overnight stops during this luxurious Dublin to Lisbon, Portugal cruise was in Bordeaux, France. So today's easy menu reflects my love of France and French cooking. Welcome to At Home with Christy Rost. I love recipes that can be either an appetizer or a light lunch or a light dinner. So I'm going to start by showing you how to make a mushroom spinach tart. It's a very French-inspired recipe. I'm going to add some olive oil to my preheated skillet. This is the Viking hybrid skillet. I absolutely love it. Even heat, quick cooking, non-stick. Look at the pretty color inside. Love that. Also, a tablespoon of unsalted butter. Pretty. And then I have a whole bowl full of mushrooms. These are baby bellas. Use your favorite mushrooms, but I will say that anything that other than white mushrooms just has a bolder flavor. And so that's kind of why I like to use this. In my market here, baby bellas are very plentiful. Some of the crimini mushrooms, shiitake mushrooms and all are not as plentiful. So it's harder to find. So use what you have in your market. If the recipe says baby bella and you don't have baby bellas, but you have white mushrooms in your market, use those. So mushrooms always absorb whatever liquid is in the pan pretty quickly. That's why I started with oil and some butter. Of course, butter adds flavor as well. And since this is very much a French-inspired recipe, you know there's going to be butter in there somewhere. So while I saute these until they soften just a little bit, let me tell you that I'm going to add just a teeny more olive oil to this because they're a little dry. So the cruise from Dublin to Lisbon, first time I was ever in Ireland, so that was really exciting. I've lived in France, and my husband Randy and I have traveled to France many times, so we're familiar with that, but this will be the first time in Bordeaux for us. And of course, beautiful wines, gorgeous castles. I'm just excited about the whole thing. The food, incredible. I love cruising because it takes me to places that I maybe haven't been to or would really love to go back or just never dreamed of going to. Like last fall when we went from Nice all the way down to the Canary Islands, and I got to go to Tangier and, Casablanca, a return trip to Barcelona, and all in luxury style, so it was lovely. And of course, you may or may not know that Atlas Ocean Voyages is a sponsor of this show, so they appreciate good cooking and people who love to travel, like me. So I added in about a half cup of onion, and I'm just sauteing that for a few moments, and then add in some garlic. And garlic only takes about 30 seconds to cook because this is minced very, very fine. Doesn't that look pretty? I mean, golly, it doesn't take very long. Then I'm going to add in some fresh spinach. And I don't want to overcook this. I'm just going to let it wilt. Here we go. Beautiful. And I've got this cute herbs and spices spatula from Tavola. It just goes so well with the mushrooms and the spinach. Add a little bit of salt and pepper to this. Freshly ground pepper. Give it a toss. And I'm going to turn off the heat now. and set this aside. I'm going to let the spinach wilt just from the heat of the skillet. And I'm going to move on to the pastry. And this pastry is going to be super simple because I'm using packaged puff pastry that I always keep some in my freezer. And I thawed it, and now it's just nice and cold. I'm going to roll that out. So let's take a quick break. I'll get all set up and get my pastry going, and we'll put this tart together. Developed over 20 years ago through classic breeding at Washington State University's tree fruit program, the Cosmic Crisp apple is known for its perfectly balanced flavor, remarkable texture, juiciness, and striking color. These qualities make the Cosmic Crisp apple ideal for a versatile range of uses, from snacking and baking to cocktails, juicing, decor, and more. Available nationwide at grocery stores in all seasons, the Cosmic Crisp apple is now one of the nation's best-selling apples. Cosmic Crisp is hands down my favorite apple, and I'm honored to have Cosmic Crisp as a returning sponsor of At Home with Christy Rost. So let's finish out this tart while the spinach continues to wilt a little bit. I'm going to just put a little bit of flour on my pastry cloth. This is prepared puff pastry. You can buy it in the freezer section where they keep all the pies and things like that of most grocery stores. And it is important to keep it cold, but you'll have to thaw it. But once you thaw it, keep it in the fridge, because you do want this pastry to stay cold. Then it has little seams here. It's important to seal those seams really well. And determine how large you want your tart. I'll go this way too. See? I'll keep it kind of straight here. So this is probably about 13, 14 inches in length. And again, you want to keep your puff pastry cold. So kind of work quickly at this point. Then I'm going to transfer this to a baking sheet that's covered in parchment paper. Now at the bottom of this pan, you'll end up with several tablespoons of liquid from the mushrooms. Don't just dump this in. I already drained off most of it, but I still see a little bit. Put your mushroom mixture in the center of the puff pastry. And see, I kept this aside because if I put it in super hot, it would just melt all the butter that's in the puff pastry, and you don't want that. What I want you to note is how quickly this all comes together. So whether you're doing it for a light meal or an appetizer, it comes together really quickly. Get these last two. I try not to get the juice in here. And then leave a border of about a good 1.5 to 2 inches all the way around on the pastry, and spread out the mushrooms and spinach. There we go. And let that be a little puffy in the center. It's already cooked here, so you don't have to worry about will the mushrooms get cooked. So it's okay to have it be kind of, thick like this. Okay. I have a little bit of clarified butter here. And I'm just going to take a nice ring around the pastry here, like this, because the pastry sticks to itself if it's moist. So a little bit of butter will really help that. And that's on that edge that you have about 1.5 to 2 inches. Here, I'll put that back there, keeping it warm. This little pot holder was made by my great niece. And so I like to use it. It's great to help keep things like melted butter warm. So then I'm folding up this puff pastry like this. And let me turn this so I can see. Fold the other one. See how it sticks to itself because of the melted butter there. Then do the two other ends here. Now this one, because it's not buttered on that end, I'm going to add a little bit there for the fold so that it sticks. There we go. And this side. Again, this little bit here and here. Fold that. See, when this bakes, it's going to puff up all this pastry. And don't worry if it's not absolutely squared off, it's fine. Then a little bit of melted butter here on this puff pastry, which will help it to be nice and golden brown when it, and kind of shiny when it bakes. I have the oven set at 425. I'm going to put this in the oven to bake. Now, if you wanted to make this ahead, completely ahead, especially if you have people coming over or something like that, then what you can do is do it to this point and stick it in the fridge. And then put it directly in the oven when you're ready. You'll need to add an extra probably 5-7 minutes or so to get everything nice and hot. So I'll put it in the oven and it'll take about 15 minutes or so. Then I'm going to add some cheese. This is Boozin' You, E-W-E, by Carvalli. And we've shredded it. It's gonna have kind of a nutty flavor and a little bit of a port wine flavor. It just naturally comes that way. And everybody likes some cheese on their mushroom tart. There we go. Now this is ready for the oven. This is so good with a glass of wine, and boy, do I have a beautiful wine for you today. So into the oven it goes. Bakes 15 minutes at 425. It's going to be puffy and golden and very French. Just about any restaurant in France will have a beef entrecôte on the menu. And what is that? It is a beautiful ribeye steak that is boneless, and it is often done in a skillet. So that's what we're going to do today. So I've got this beautiful piece of beef. I need to season it with salt and pepper. And so I'm gonna run over here for a moment and grab some salt and pepper. And you want to season the steak really well. And preferably, you would do this ahead, maybe a good 10-15 minutes ahead, and season your steak and give it a chance to absorb some of these seasonings, these beautiful salts and peppers and all. Now, I've preheated my skillet. This is the Viking Culinary Cookware, and it's a hybrid skillet. And I poured some clarified butter in there. And I'm going to just swirl it around the pan a little bit like this. Look at the pretty blue color of the pan. And add my steak. Entrecôte, ribeye steak. Ooh, beautiful sizzle. That's what you want to hear. That way you know the skillet's hot enough. And I'm going to add my seasoning to the other side now, because I put it seasoning side down. And I have the heat on about between medium high. You want to cook it, sear it pretty quickly. And I'm being rather generous with seasoning on this steak. And some freshly ground black pepper. So we're going to sear this steak for several minutes until it's really brown on one side. And then in the meantime, the center will start to cook a little bit, then we'll flip it over and sear the other side. We'll be right back.
Experience an immersive culinary adventure with Atlas Ocean Voyages. Led by seasoned experts, savor regional flavors and exclusive culinary moments. Discover captivating destinations and authentic traditions aboard elegant, all-inclusive yachts hosting fewer than 200 guests. Atlas Ocean Voyages, where every Epicurean adventure is a feast for the senses.
Let's take a peek and see what it looks like here. Oh, it's gorgeous. Look at this. Isn't that pretty? That's exactly what you want. Now, if you find that you didn't have enough clarified butter in there, or it's kind of all absorbed by the steak, then this would be the time to add just a teeny bit more. The other thing I want to point out, this is something that my good friend Chef Joel, who actually directs the prep kitchen, has taught me, is to make little slits in the fat. You can see them here, the little slits before you cook. And not into the meat, but go partway into the fat, and that way it helps keep the meat flat in the pan so it doesn't kind of curl up on the end. I thought that was a really good tip. I like my meat, my steaks, medium rare. And so medium rare is, for an instant-read thermometer, about 120 to 130 degrees. I like mine right about 125. And so always use a meat thermometer when you're cooking your meat. Let me check with my Thermapen here just to see what we're doing here. Okay, I have a ways to go. It's 83, 84 degrees in the center. So it's going to take a few more minutes to come up to temp. So let's take a quick break and we'll be back. Okay, let's check the steak. Oh yeah, there we go. It is 122. So time to take the steak out of the pan. That is a thing of beauty. And I'm going to keep my heat on, but I'm turning it down a little bit because I'm going to make a sauce to go with this. And you don't have to make a sauce, but it's very French to make a sauce. So we're going to do that. And it's really easy. So I have the clarified butter here. I'm already in the pan and I have some drippings from the meat. I'm going to add in a shallot that has been peeled and chopped very, very fine. Okay, we just minced it. So it's only going to take moments to cook. Then, because I'm going to pair this dish with this Provenance Vineyards Napa Valley Merlot, I'm going to use it for my sauce. So I'm going to deglaze the pan with some of the wine. When using wine for cooking, always make sure that you use something you would drink. Don't use cooking wine. It's nasty stuff, okay? And then add equal amount of beef broth or beef stock. Equal amount. Raise the heat. You want this to come to a full boil and reduce the amount of liquid in the pan by half. As it does that, it's going to concentrate the flavors of the beef drippings and the wine and the beef stock, concentrate all that into a really rich sauce. So you've got it up at a nice high level of heat, and it'll thicken up just a little bit. I love this pan, this hybrid by Viking. Oh my gosh, it is so easy to do something like this. It just All that heat just is perfect all the way across. Very uniform. Besides, it's pretty. Look at that. Okay, it's almost ready. So at this point, I can season the sauce. You never season until it's just about done, because otherwise it concentrates the flavor of all that salt. There we go. And I've reduced it about half. So I'm going to turn off the heat and pour this right into the platter here. All those little minced pieces. Here it goes. There we are there. Let's put some on this side. You can pour it on the meat if you like, but I always think that looks a little bit muddy, so I don't do that. I like instead to surround the meat with the sauce. We'll just even that out there. And I have some fresh parsley. Just to garnish the platter a little bit. And there you go. You have a French beef entrecôte with a wine reduction. As we continue our virtual trip to Bordeaux, which I was lucky enough to do as a guest chef of Atlas Ocean Voyages in the fall of 2025, we're going to make apple clafoutis. Apple clafoutis. That is a French dessert that is very typical throughout the country. I think you're going to be really surprised. We're gonna make up a batter. Then I'm going to saute some apples. Then I'm going to take the batter, pour it right into the cast iron skillet over the apples, and watch it rise after we put it in the oven. So here we go. So I have some flour, a little bit of salt. Just whisk this together real quickly. I have a cup of milk. I'm going to slowly whisk it into the flour. Ah, my oven's almost ready. I can hear the little beep. Kind of reminds me of making a batter for crepes at this point. Get all this nice dry flour there incorporated really well into the milk. Add a little more of the milk. You always start with the batter first for the apple clafoutis because the batter needs to rest for a few minutes. A little more milk and rest. As you've probably gathered, I love French cooking. I just really do. In many cases, it's very simple. People have been making this dessert for years, for decades, all over the country because, you know, it's just real easy and it's the ingredients that we tend to have on hand anyway. So the French homemakers and cooks, they know that. It's like, oh, this is what can I throw together in a hurry for a dessert? Well, this one looks pretty fancy, but it really is ingredients that most of us have in our homes anyway. And the French know that. So let's add in now some eggs. There's 1 and 2 and 3. And then whisk these in. You'll see the batter starts to thicken. Just whisk in the eggs. It's a pretty golden color too, which is nice. It's actually kind of the same color as the handle of this whisk. It's cute whisk from Brabantia. Okay, then I'm going to add in some sugar. And a little more. And the rest of the sugar. You know, I promised you that during season 4 that I would have recipes for you that are quick, that are budget friendly. Flour, sugar, a few eggs, some apples, a little bit of cinnamon, a little bit of vanilla. This recipe is pretty straightforward and not expensive to make. I'm going to add in some vanilla, about 1.5 teaspoons. Whisk this and set it aside to rest. While that rests, I'll do the apples. Well, that's certainly hot enough. Move it off the fire for a minute. I'll add my apples in. There we go. And it's a Cosmic Crisp apple, my favorite. I have them sliced pretty thin. I'll move this back now. So you take a few moments to let them soften while that's heating up. I'm going to take some sugar. It's about 1/4 cup. Okay, you don't need a lot. And some brown sugar. And just crumble this in. This is a 1 tablespoon of brown sugar. Always pack it when measuring. And some Saigon cinnamon. This is 1 teaspoon of Saigon cinnamon. And just mix that up with a spoon or your fingers so that it's well blended. There we go. Stir my apples again. Look at that, goes with my outfit. Okay, that's one of those Tivolo spatulas that I love so much. There's so many cute and attractive spatulas. Then I take my sugar mixture and pour that in and just mix it really well. And this is a cast iron pan because I'm going to put this directly in the oven. So it's cast iron, Viking cast iron, ceramic coated inside so things don't stick, but totally cast iron on the exterior. Oh, does this smell so wonderful. It smells like fall, smells like winter, smells like comfort, smells like Bordeaux. Now back to my batter, which has rested. Just give it a little stir and pour it directly over the apples. This is ready for the oven. As soon as you pour the batter into the pan over the apples, then take it to the oven. And the pan's hot, so make sure you have protection for your hands. I've preheated the oven at 425 degrees. I'm going to bake this here. Woo! There we go. Bake for 425 degrees for about 25 minutes. It's going to get very puffy and gorgeous, and the apples, you'll be able to see them with all the beautiful puffy pastry all around. But be prepared. When you take it out of the oven, within minutes, it will collapse. And that's typical. That's the way the dessert is served. So when this bakes, I'll take it out and we'll hopefully get a quick shot before it collapses all the way. Well, bonjour and au revoir, all in this show. This show started with everything French, from the mushroom and spinach tart to the beef entrecôte with the red wine reduction to the apple clafoutis, a typical French dessert. And what could go better with all of this than a beautiful wine? And so today I have the Provenance Vineyards Napa Valley Merlot, the bright red fruits and raspberry and chocolate on the nose, combined with the dark fruits, the blackberries and the dark cherries and all on the palate, create a beautiful pairing for the steak, for the mushroom tart, and certainly to finish out with the apple clafoutis. Thanks for joining me today on At Home with Christy Rost, where great food, beautiful wine, and hospitality is a tradition. Ever since living in France, I've enjoyed sharing my love of French cooking with guests and audiences. You'll find today's recipes on my ChristyRost.com website. And don't forget to visit my Instagram and Facebook pages. I'd like to thank our sponsors, Atlas Ocean Voyages, Cosmic Crisp Apples, and Little Bear Honey, and Viking Culinary Cookware. Thanks also to our friends at Bean Candle Company, Car Valley Cheese, Melissa's Produce, Provenance Vineyards, and Volo. See you next time. Au revoir.